Welcome to our second installment of the Stretch to Sketch video series. This is the sketch that we're using today. It's from Hip Kit Club, and there are several of us participating, so down below you will see the link to everybody's videos, and you can see how we stretched or squished this sketch to fit our needs. I am using some paper, very, very old paper from Basic Gray, and it's from their, I believe it's Hello Luscious collection, and it's been in my stash for quite a while, so I wanted to make sure I got that used up. I thought this was a good place to use it. I am cutting down my photos to be 3 by 3 so that they will be in a nice square size and fit on the page to match up with the sketch. And you saw me going through a couple of the photos there. I started with the one that had the largest image to make sure I could get it down to a 3 by 3. If not, I would have started with a 3.5 by 3.5 or 3.25 by 3.25 and just made everything match. So now I am going to trim down my paper to be 4.5 by 8.5 for each side. So for each side of the double page layout. So I'm doing a 12 by 24 inch layout. Other people could be doing traveler's notebooks or 6 by 12 or 9 by 12. Anyway, you see there I accidentally cut my paper to be 8 by 4.5, so I cut another little 1/2 inch to fudge it in there so it looks like it is 8.5 by 4.5. And then I will start cutting down the next layers by 1/4 inch. So the next layer would be 8.25 by 4.25, and so on down the line until I've got about 5 layers of paper stacked up there. Now this paper is pretty bold and pretty, it's distressed, and it's got a lot of stuff going on. So the nice thing is the back side is pretty much a solid. It's still at least on 2 of the papers, the orange and the pink, it's still distressed, but it is a solid, so that's a nice thing. I could layer those in between the really bold pieces, and the layers are so close together that a lot of the pattern doesn't show anyway. It's just there for a lot of color, and I will distress ink all of my papers with some walnut stain distress ink. So it will provide a little bit more pop between the layers. And you can see there I'm having to piece together a couple because I only had 1 sheet of each of these papers, but I still want it to look like one solid piece going across. By the time I get it all together, you're not going to be able to tell that there's actually a fold in it or a cut in the paper. And I'm just going to use some washi tape on the back and put it all together so that it lines up with the pattern. And that is the top layer, but you're not going to be able to tell by the time it's all done. As I said, it's going to have a lot of journaling strips over it, and the actual photo will be over it, so you're not going to be able to tell that there's a cut there. So I'm going to go ahead and lay all of these down in kind of a little bit of a haphazard way. They're going to be layered on top of each other, but they're not going to be straight. They're going to be just slightly off kilter for each layer so that it doesn't look like it's perfect. I want it to look kind of like you've stacked up your papers and you haven't done that final squish. I don't know if you guys follow Shamel Lane. She does that quite a bit, and I really like the look, especially for this layout, so that's what I did. I'm not going to make you sit through all of that trimming of papers and layering them up. You can see there that they are all stacked up. I've basically taken the sketch and turned it 90 degrees for each side of the layout so that it's going to spread across the double page. I'm just trimming off the edges that are kind of hanging over so that they meet up nicely. And then I'm going to figure out where I want my photos. They're very similarly placed. I can't talk this morning, haven't had enough coffee obviously. They're similarly placed as to the sketch. And then I went ahead and backed my photos with some of the leftover pieces of the paper that I had, as well as a black border. So those are just cut 1/4 inch larger than the photo, so that they'll mat nicely and have about 1/8 of an inch around each side showing. And then I've cut some white paper to use as my journaling strips. I don't do this technique quite often, but I really do like the way it looks, and it's going to lend itself well to being on top of this very busy pattern paper. I went ahead and pulled out some green thickers that you see me lining up there on my ruler, and the title of my layout is going to be 4-H Dog Project, because that is the basically what we are participating in these photos. I'm trying to figure out exactly where I want it. The sketch kind of has it, if I were to tip those pages back correctly, it has it kind of on the pattern paper, but I know that's not going to work, so I'm playing around with where I want to line those up at. I know I want to use the green. It works really well with the grass in the photos, so I went ahead and set that aside while I figured out where I'm going to put my embellishments. And you can see me here going through my boxes of colored embellishments, pulling out anything that's kind of in this buttery yellow color. It matches really well with some of the papers that are layered there. Excuse me. I'm also going to go through some of the green and pull out things that I think will match well. Anytime I'm using these bold papers, I like to add a little touch of black or white just to tone everything down. So along with my white strips there, I'm going to also pull out a couple of different pieces of black embellishment just to kind of ground everything, bring it all together, and just kind of tone the mood down. So I decided I needed to go ahead and write out what I wanted to say in my journaling, so that I have enough room for it to be in the little squares to the right and the left of the center photos. I want it overlapping the pattern paper, and I need to make sure it fits there before I start adding embellishments. So I have pulled out a ton of stuff. You see the green box on the right hand side there. I've gone through that. I've pulled out some stuff. It took me quite a while to kind of narrow down what I wanted to use on this layout. Normally this is a much quicker process for me, but this layout took me, I think it was like 1 hour and 45 minutes to do. Now there were some other things going on at the same time. I had a video playing that I was kind of paying attention to. I was interrupted for dinner, and had to pause the video. So there were different things going on as well. It wasn't 1 hour and 45 minutes straight, but I have cut out quite a bit of the just sitting there thinking about it. One thing that was really kind of bugging me on this layout was the fact that there is a lot of white space. And so right here you see me just trimming down 3 sides of the paper so that I can put a, actually I'm sorry, you saw me trim down 2 sides of the paper so that it will leave a reveal around 3 sides, so that it can kind of ground the layout. The white paper just makes everything kind of seem like it's just running off the edge. It doesn't have a place to live, so to speak. It's just, I don't know how to describe it, but it just looked like it was kind of didn't have a finishing spot. So I wanted to go ahead and do that. And so what I did was, once I got those laid down, I took it off screen, and I ran it through my sewing machine. I have a variegated green thread that I used, and I went around the 3 sides that have the black border and sewed on the white paper. So now I'm adding some additional embellishments in front of where it says 4-H. I thought that space was pretty blank. It was bothering me. I like more stuff going on. And there's actually really a lot of white space on this page for me. I kind of wish I had started with some mixed media so that it had, pardon me, some additional color peeking out from behind the photos and the papers, but I didn't do that, and it's already all glued down, so I will be going back and adding some spray mist to it. I'm just going to use some Heidi Swapp Color Shine in green, kind of a buttery yellow, and I think it's an orangey color. I don't exactly know the name of the product color. I can add that to the link down below, or to the comments down below. So that's pretty much going to do it once I get those added colors on. The close-ups are coming up in just a few minutes, and you'll see that. Oh, I also did add some little rhinestone pieces to the embellishment clusters, and you'll see those as well in the close-ups. I apologize for my voice. I think I've got some allergies going on, and it's affected my vocal cords. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and don't forget to check out everyone else down below, and we'll see you next time.